This is topic 9, COM 239, concept video. So first of all, this topic is related to community and government relations, and they're quite intertwined really. In many ways you can't have one without the other. So first of all we'll cover community relations. So Dawley and Garcia is your key reading for this week, for this topic, and they define community relations as strategic development of mutually beneficial relationships with targeted communities towards the long-term objective of building reputation and trust. So it's that mutually beneficial relationships that are so important for you actually doing community relations work. And in our online meeting this week, we discussed about the importance of community relations in the context of a university such as Charles Sturt University, and we really need to be responsive to the community needs, particularly as we're located in rural and regional Australia. Being situated in those communities, it's important for us to be connected with those communities, and for our staff, etc., and our students to have a sense of belonging. So there's 6 principles that Dawley and Garcia say for community relations. So the first one is be involved, be committed. So just show up. Sometimes people don't know how to show up, and it's just easy, pick up the phone, ring somebody up, phone somebody up, that sort of stuff. Currently in COVID, it's not as easy to kind of go and visit people, but you can still make phone calls. Building reputation, one relationship at the time, is good business. So this is about really making sure when you build a relationship that you maintain that, and then you keep building them. It's not just one relationship, it's a network of relationships, and that will build reputation. Choose the right projects and be strategic. So this is where you really need to be looking more at social benefit, more and more, and as we come out of this pandemic, our community relations work will be really oriented towards social benefit. What's the benefit to society? What's the good to society? They'll be the questions that we'll be asking, and this is that ethical underpinning that we've focused on the whole way through this subject. So keep moving ahead. So make sure you have a long-term commitment. Don't just do short-term stuff for short wins. Make that long-term commitment. Embrace diversity. And so that means really have a diverse lot of people in your team. Network with a diversity of people. Don't just go to the same people that look like you and act like you. Embrace diversity. Go to different people. Get the different voices in the room. All of those different voices, all of those different perspectives are important. When things go wrong, make them right as fast as you can. So that's not a hard thing to do. Quite often something will go wrong and we think, oh, well, that's their fault or whatever. No, address that situation. Make it right as fast as you can. So we'll move on to government relations, and this is a nice picture of Government House. It's defined as all forms of lobbying and non-lobbying activities that have the ultimate goal of influencing public policy. So this is your second reading, Ingle. So this is really you wanting to influence public policy. So I gave the example of nearby me there's a development going on, and parts of it are going to impact the environment and other things. Now I can choose to lobby, which is advocacy work, or I could choose to be an activist and stand there in front of the bulldozers or whatever. But I choose to be a lobbyist because I want to influence public policy. I want to influence the political processes that are happening. I don't want to just stop one thing. I want to, in the long term, influence that public policy. So I found Ingle rather USA-centric, and I think it's really important. And in your readings, you've got the Parliamentary Education Office there as well. Look at that. And also have a look at these government lobbying code of conduct, which is underpinned by trust and integrity of processes. See those ethics again. Activities being conducted ethically and transparently, and communication. As we've said the whole way through, we need to keep communicating. And it's also important that organisations speak with one voice. Okay, so we get all those different perspectives, but we speak with one voice, so that when we go out to influence public policy, we actually have a particular position, a particular stance. So the principles of engagement with government representatives, they're the ones from the Lobbying Code of Conduct. I urge you to have a look at those. They're pretty strong. And as you're working, and if you are working with government, it's important you know about these codes of conduct and that you use those as part of your professional ethic or code of conduct as well. And we also went over these things where in the age of coronavirus and in any crisis such as this, where we have to start socially isolating, we have to find other ways of relating. And I want you to think about if you have any examples of governments or organisations maintaining community relations during this pandemic. What were the key features of those? So, for instance, Charles Sturt University internally has maintain relationships with staff and students, having regular updates, addressing what's going on, etc., keeping up to date, and also with its communities and widely across Australia. Another very, very good example is the ABC. The ABC has been unbelievable in maintaining those relationships with community and maintaining relationships with government, keeping them honest when it comes to policy making around coronavirus. And I think the ABC is an excellent example for you to look at. What are the things that they have done so well? Their messaging has been consistent. They've had daily updates in different forms. There's a coronavirus podcast. They've had episodes of Q&A on Monday nights focused on coronavirus for a number of different facets, bringing in different people from community and political arenas, and they've had nightly on the drum and other areas as well. So they've been very consistent in their messaging, but they've gone out and they've kept the community involved and the government involved. And think about what are some of the challenges, and obviously in that picture some of the immediate challenges are that we can't be together, we can't hold workshops, we can't relate to community and have stakeholder forums and those sorts of things. So how do we actually get around that? And one of those areas is Zoom, and Zoom can be a very leveling play field where everybody shows up, they've all got an equal face and equal voice, and could be a way of, and has been a way of, overcoming those issues. And as we recover, we need to think about how do we get back into that relating in a much more relational, person-centred, human-centred approach. They're the references for this week. I hope that you've gained some insights from this, and I thank you for listening. Cheers.